We have a very special guest in studio today, Stephen Burton, who is the owner and educator of Foundation Rescue. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, this will be probably a little more real estate focused than some of our other episodes, but that's all right.
That's what we want.
That's what we want.
So I met you years ago. I can't remember what house.
It's been a minute.
I mean, you're the foundation guy here. You know. I mean, you're the go-to guy around here for foundation repair.
Well, thank you.
How did you get into this from the jump?
I grew up in St. Anne in a slab home, right? So I went in the Air Force. I was upwardly mobile with companies. So I moved around a lot. And when I moved back to St. Louis in the early 90s, I rented a basement. I was so excited to have a basement. I grew up in a slab home, right? Yeah. All my artwork got lost. All my childhood, and I'm an artist, and you save these things that mean so much to you, and your kids loved it, and daddy's stuff. It was just a big shock wave because it was one of the few things I had from my modest childhood. And I'm not crying about being poor, but it was one of those things that I had from that's gone, and it crushed me. I thought basements were so exciting. Well, that was my first taste of the reality of the hole in the ground, right? Because in essence, that's what they are. And they're not built for the amount of abuse they get. And we'll get into that as we get talking about things. But it was a real eye-opening experience.
So did you just wake up one day and there's water all over the floor? Or
yeah, I came down and it came through the sliding glass door. So the first one was your typical grading was bad outside. It whipped in the back door. It happens, but I'm young. It hadn't happened to me.
Yeah.
I had no life experience. What do I know? And that's what happens with a lot of folks with no home experience. They've had condos, house, or maybe they were in a track. But suddenly they're in a house that's tiered and they have issues that they didn't even know about. So it was quite upsetting for me, to say the least.
Sure.
Yeah. You kind of take your licks, and I started looking into it. So I have a minor, fortunately, being able to work for companies like W.R. Grace and Sika. I mean, I had no idea what a gold mine I was getting, learning the hard facts about building very big buildings, like parking garages and hospitals and airports. Strict rules, like if you didn't have the best product, like what they dictated on the build, you had to show through a standard that it was an equivalent or that it at least could exceed what they were calling for. And you really been the person that wrote the stats, and now you're coming in with something better because he didn't know about it. So you have to be very, there's some poise there that has to be shown because you've got personalities. But at the end of the day, American standards of tests and measures are what we go by. And we don't do that with a house.
Really?
Your home inspector does not have to take a test. Your foundation repair guy does not take a test. There is no forum. There is no guideline. There's no, don't you do this, or you wouldn't see plastic on the walls. Don't you do that, or there wouldn't be plates on the walls. Don't you do this, or there wouldn't be angle iron at the top, depending upon what the person can afford to pay. Or maybe what's called the beaver board drain tile system, which is nothing but a giant base molding that's glued to the floor, and they run that discharge to the sewer. And it's all fine. Now, what do you do if you're one of the inspectors and you got to come in and inspect this? Well, he has to look at what the manufacturer intended and see if it was put up like it was intended. But they don't do that. I know. I was a manufacturer's rep. You're not seeing an inspector go, well, let me check out what such and such is doing. And no. And after sitting in a couple of meetings, and I don't want to throw any groups under the bus, I want to walk alongside people, not crash them. But they were told, do not call out the foundation. Don't talk about it. Now, we're going to talk about caulk in the windows. We're going to talk about maybe some asbestos tile on the floor. We're going to talk about conducive conditions for termites. But we don't talk about 4-inch gutters that hold 0.8 gallons per foot in the Midwest when they shouldn't be on a house. Brand new multi-million-dollar house. Then they'll bring the downspouts, which are too little, right down to another gutter and cancel it out. And there's no one talking about it, and I can't believe it. Well, why would we talk about that? These homes are built for compression. And for you lacking math scholars out there, which is me, that's something that's got weight sitting right on top of it. So when you have lateral movement, when you have something pushing on your house, that means it's landing next to the house. And why would that matter? especially if the house is 100 years old, right? A lot of times we're in the city, we're in a house 100 years old. That ground is still molested is the word they use for 250 years.
What do you mean?
It's disturbed. It's molested. It's not virgin.
Okay.
Meaning it allows the water to rifle right through to the foundation, that backfill around it.
Yeah.
So the downspouts need to get out past that. Well, now you have Mr. Good Intention, the path to hell comes walking in with the black pipe, right? We've all seen it.
Yeah, the corrugated black stuff.
And it, air quotes, is working. That's the other thing I run into. Well, those gutters are working. Well, as designed. And that corrugated pipe was never designed for that. But it's going to get used that way.
Really?
Well, just like a helical pier was a tieback for a telephone pole, that wasn't an intentional use of it, right?
Yes.
Well, no, I'm stating facts. I mean,
I believe
these are facts, right? Right.
Yeah.
The other kind of a pier is a push pier where you connect sleeves of steel that are 3-4 inches around, and you keep pushing them in the ground. The problem with those, and sometimes you need those. Sometimes you need there's a place for everything. Mostly not for most things. It has to be very odd. Even tiebacks have a place occasionally, but no, push piers, they have a joint, so they're going to move as they're being pushed into the ground. As they hit different PSI, they're going to move. So now we're not directly going straight down, and we're kind of horseshoeing our way onto the foundation footing, like a car jack was back in the day. Well, that footing wasn't. Most of these people poured those footing in virgin dirt. They dug the trench, poured it. It's flat on the bottom-ish. Not on the sides, and yet we're going to still try and stick a little car jack on there and jack this pier. And then the other is your traditional concrete pier, which can be set under the footing, which is important. But the important part about piers is that they need to be put on the corner too, and a lot of times these aren't. Those push piers and the helicals, you can't get them on the corner. That's a lot of weight there, and we just missed the big part.
Yeah. You're very passionate about this. How long have you had your company?
Yeah, I started Waterproof Solutions with another gentleman in 2008. We got off the ground in 2009. I bought it outright. I wasn't really an owner. I was told I was going to be, but really wasn't when it came down to it. But I ended up buying out Waterproof Solutions for $1.
Wow.
You know, well, he knew that was the way we needed to go with it. And I was polite, and he did the honorable thing. And then I rose it up. You know, got turned up to about a couple $1 million business. And, you know, and after I'd had it for 4 or 5 years, I thought to myself, I'd been doing this for 35. When 88's when I got my minor in cement and concrete products, I was like, you know, I have a heart, I have a philanthropy heart. And I know by saying that almost takes that away, but it's a fact and I don't mind it. I'm a man of God too. I don't always act like it. I do aspire to. So having said that, I want to stay making sure that my treasure's in heaven, not here. I don't mind having a nice time here, but I don't want to mess something up by not honoring what I've been brought here for. And my steps were ordered for this. If there was ever somebody built for this, right now it's me. And the fact that I'm being considered the expert makes me sick to my stomach.
How do you consult with builders as they're building homes? Do they ever bring you in? Or
I have had many of builders lately come to me. A couple of them have gotten in trouble in the midst of the build, and these are $1 million builds now, where that used to be a big deal. Be a millionaire, nothing now. You know, so these $1 million homes are happening pretty regular, and the footings are failing immediately sometimes because of substrate issues or weather or the or. You know, so we come in and stabilize these foundations while they're being built. That's a dangerous position for that new homeowner, by the way. He's just sick to his stomach. Well, we're not being policed. You know, that in fact, that foundation's only inspected when it's new. Never, ever again.
Yeah. Well, something breaks.
Wow.
Or
when this is what, now you're a lender, right? This is your big deal nothing worse than finding out you got a dog of a house and the person's not paying on it now. Yeah. I don't know if that's happened to you, and I don't need you to say, but what a tragedy, because it does happen. And I'm around these folks and they're gasping. It's like, well, we got to do something now. What do we do to the house? You know, how can we get it fixed up enough for it to sustain? Well, what do we do with that? That's the foundation or the roof or plumbing or electric, right? I mean, that's the thing that's going to stop it, right? And yet that's not even on the checklist of the things to look at the most. I had last night, this 25-year-old young man, and The inspector had known me for the realtor had known me for 100 years, but they were using the inspector that his broker uses, and everything's fine. He's, the guy called out a little this and that lightly, but something, his spidey senses was going, and he's like, man, I almost hate to call him, but I'm going to, because we need to know. I just can't.
Yeah.
And I'm glad for that. Those are the people I want to help. I got to tell you how many really top name realtors have told me, don't write anything. I go, well, you better hope they don't call me, because I won't write a report, but I personally will not back for you. And don't call me again.
That's crazy.
Oh, and if you knew the names, it'd make you sick to your stomach, because they're so nice.
That's crazy.
So sweet.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys have agents just like us. We have a fiduciary duty to our clients.
That's right.
It's just insane that they would.
Well, I make, after my 16-week class, because I'm going to be putting boots on the ground, I make them take a fiduciary as well as a Hippocratic oath, because I have just now given you the gate key. Why did I do so well? Well, honesty first. I knew what I was talking about, and when I didn't, I admitted it. And then as I started to realize I was the guy at the table, if you don't know who the idiot is at the poker table, it's you. And I started to realize I don't know what these rules are. And I'm in an industry that I don't exactly know what is what.
Right.
That made me pretty nervous and sick to my stomach. So I embraced good inspectors, good engineers. And then I found out how there's towns stuffed full of terrible ones. But then I think about the guys I went to school with. You wouldn't want half the guys working on a nuclear missile that I went to school with. And a lot of those guys were given sweep the floor jobs after we got out. There was no way they were going to practice. They passed the test, air quotes. They could never practice. And we find that. We find it in doctors, lawyers. We find it in the foundation repair business. We found it anywhere. So we have to make sure we seek standards. You've got an engineer saying, yeah, just backfill with rock. What a nightmare. Rock holds water. And well, you're the expert. That's what they'll say to me. Or that's your way. That's why I decided Waterproof Solutions has got to get sold. And I've got to raise up Foundation Rescue, because we've got to teach people how to protect themselves against our industry, how to use our industry. And that's like the commercial world. Wouldn't it be nice if you put your house out for bid? Yeah. And you put your house out and you said, no, this is what I need you to do. I need you to give me a 120-foot drainage system. Oh, by the way, here's the spec on how I want it put in. You don't get to use your patented pipe or whatever, who shot John. You're going to do it like this. We're going to have a radon-ready basin. Well, why would we want that? Because St. Louis is stuffed full of radon, and we've got these Pac-Man lids. Oh, well, they put a plastic lid on it, a clear one, and they've glued it shut. How many times have you seen those? And you're like, well, how do you ever check anything? You don't. So we are just ignoring and kicking the can when it comes to homeowners and the foundations and deathly radon. And I've had people, it ain't even real. That's the kind of guys we have in this industry still.
The radon.
Well, you can't make it up.
The radon thing.
And we didn't go to the moon either. So I'm just saying, let's just scratch all of them. So, being a rocket scientist, that really bugs me when I hear somebody say, I'm like, really? You really think and the earth is flat? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what we have here is just, we don't want to look at it. And then I hear the economic development for St. Louis for the next 25 years at the chamber. And this young man was from Oklahoma. He spoke eloquently. He's been here for 2 years. You could sure tell he ain't from here.
Yeah,
should have heard that room when he said, yeah, we want less houses in the next 25 years, more communal living, less roads, less cars. And man, you could have heard crickets in that room. And then my mother-in-law from Feed My People steps up and gives them a little something. And yeah, but that's truly, he just told the truth. He was an honest young man. He said, this is what's happening. So, all right. So with that, don't you think we need to be better stewards of these homes? Okay. So when you have to buy something, the size of you two guys, the last thing I'd want to do if I had any sense about me would be selling you something I shouldn't be selling you. But that doesn't work in this world anymore. It used to be that worked a little bit. That don't even work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have policemen. You'll have officials get nailed. They're so upset. They can't believe it happened to them. So how's this happening? We've turned the industry into you being a customer, and let's arm the foundation guy as a salesperson. Well, you don't know how to buy it. And the industry, hires people and bottle feeds them how to sell it. Because most of them wake up as I did and you go, wait a minute. The emperor's naked. This isn't right. Concrete's tensile strength's 10% of its compressive strength. Well, what does that mean? Well, if I've got 4,000 pound concrete at 400 gallons, breaks it. 48 gallons, breaks it. That's 400 pounds. That's devastating to a house, but people don't know that. They'll dig giant holes next to their house trying to fix something. They fill up with water and they don't know why they got a brand new break or the two diagonals showed up on the back wall. There you go. So we're not talking about anything. So where does that come from? Landscape, hardscape, but mostly downspouts and gutters.
Anytime I've brought you at a house, it's always the first thing you look at. You go outside, walk around the perimeter, look at downspouts and gutters.
Why would I do that? Well, there's a why. Kinetic energy. Let's figure out our why. Let's know why. It just doesn't happen. We have this idea that things just happen, with houses because we don't, it's not our world. Big deal. And
it's slow. It's something that takes, like a foundation crack. It's not like a lightning strike.
Exactly right.
It's a slow, it's a death by 1,000 cuts.
And with that point, our industry will scare you into your walls fall. Your walls don't fall. I repeat, your walls do not fall. Now, I've seen 2 fall. So it's 2 out of 35, right? People are still living in the house. And the walls don't fall flat. They fall and wrench the house in, right? So you still have remnant of the wall.
Yeah.
You might be able to crawl out, walk out. But they're still wedged together, so the house is tight enough that it's trying to hold its own self up. So this slow progression, these walls that used to just get knocked in a little bit now are walking in. Every year they come in a little further. And once they exceed the thirds rule, so for easy math, if your wall was 9 inches thick and it came in 3 inches, that's a third of its thickness, it's falling. And walls are usually skinnier than that if they're not a bigger build. So you can see where we're at. It doesn't take long to set, you're walking that sill board, that piece of wood that sits on top of the load-bearing part of your wall. All the walls hold load, but, most of them are just on that main beam and, where it's sitting there. So the floors with the floor joist, the walls with the floor joists on them, those have to be protected because the house won't be as tall. If it has lateral movement and 2 diagonals are in it, now the wall's moved in, it's not as tall, and that's why everything starts to wrench. That's why your windows quit working. That's why the doors quit working. And so now you got somebody that comes in and goes, he just fixes cracks. So he runs in there and slaps some carbon fiber on it and calls it done. Well, most of the time they don't put the carbon on properly. What would be proper carbon installation? That's when you grind the wall. You have to see that wall's had the water cement ratio knocked off it. You can see it. Looks great. It's ever put over paint. You're only as good as the surface you adhere to, so you can't do that. So you immediately start to realize, and the other thing that you need to really look at is that wall should have been injected first, unless it wasn't outside wall or something to that nature. So that
you epoxy inject.
You would not. That's a great term that is being abused. So you don't put epoxy in the wall. We call them that like Kleenex, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So just know that it's a urethane that you're putting in the wall. And why? I'm going to say that for you occasionally in case our listeners are wondering why. That epoxy, you can buy low viscosity, high viscosity, and that's the thickness when I talk about viscosity, how quickly it can run. Well, we would only be getting, and I say we, the industry, I did it early on, you could only get that epoxy a few inches into the wall, right? So you might as well be flex steeling it. Because flex steel wouldn't be putting something hard in there, harder than the concrete that causes a new break. The flex steel just eventually belches out because you put a Band-Aid over a water balloon, right? Well, in essence, if it's just a small trickle and you're praying to get somebody over there, and you just want, okay, I can understand that, but it's also toxic to have it taken back off the walls, so you don't be pouring that on that walls, because if it has to be mechanically removed, you've got a problem now. So you don't, you don't want to be, the flex steel and the things of that nature. But if you see that hump underneath the carbon fiber, that's not a proper install. Okay. It doesn't stick to it. So that carbon's useless now. And they spent the $100 a foot or whatever to do that. And carbon's anywhere from, with an injection, anywhere from 85 a foot to 120 a foot, depending upon how much, if it has a double break where the chunks are actually falling out of the wall. And usually that's rebar related. Yeah. Did you know rebar can get 7 times its size if it's saturated? So so it's like an onion and it just starts growing. And that's why those chunks get knocked out of the wall. So whenever you see the horizontal breaks that are 18 inches below the top of the wall or up off the bottom, rebar, rebar, rebar. Well, we have these metal tabs that go through when we pour them, and they set the metal right on it so it just feeds them. So if you have somebody that's struggling and they're super broke and they're really trying to just survive, so you can have the same broken house and have 3 different remedies. If I have a 25-year-old, we're going to do it the right way. If I have an 85-year-old and this person's on Medicare and we're going to get outside and we're going to try and seal that thing from the outside so it doesn't stay active, right? We're going to put a black pipe on a downspout 25 feet long because it's cheap, and we're going to send it to the side of the yard. That's when you use some things because that's what's best for that person. It gets them safe, keeps them from having issue. So all of these things sound very difficult, but they're not. They are when you first hear them, and it almost seems like a lot because I'm learning new things now, as I was telling you about Claude.
Yeah.
Wow. But it starts to become less a mountain as you start to understand some of the components. And as we become older adults, and I'm twice you guys' age, I'm 64, the way I look at it, if you start to give up on technology and what's happening, you've just given up on being able to help anybody as well as yourself. So not saying everybody has to stay in the techno world, but let's make sure that we have people around us that understand where we're at and what to do. So why would we not be having a foundation inspection before the others when that could be the reason? That poor kid last night was out $900. I didn't even charge him for my inspection because my heart hurt so bad. And it's only $175 for me. I wanted to make it to where it's so easy. And if somebody doesn't feel like it's worth it, then keep your money.
A house, $175 should be nothing.
Right. Well, you see, isn't that a sweet thing? And that's my heart.
Right.
I want to do this to where people, and you know what? Here's the thing. Pat, I go to your house and let's just say, Zach's showing you a house, man, we're walking away going, like last night. Kid goes, I don't want to spend my last 30 grand. I go, you're going to need all of 30 just in case the garage does go. It's been okay up to this point, but they're trying to say everything's fine because it's been okay for 3 years. What does that have to do with you?
Yeah.
So we need to be looking at how we can preserve our own self and how we can take care of our own self. So I want to be part of the problem. I mean, the solution, not the problem. So why not make it so affordable that they would, if they're tight, you should be calling out for my inspection before you start doing the major one, because I'm going to call out so many things that guy would probably be afraid of. And let's face it, you're going to feel some loyalty to your realtor and to the people that you're doing business with. Don't say different. I know I do. I advocate based on who I'm in front of. Let's not lie about that. Let's be men. Let's be courageous. Let's be strong. Let's tell the truth. You can advocate for a seller as well as a buyer. I can stand with a seller and say, now I want you to do this and this because, yeah, you have this going on, but if you fix that gutter and you take care of why our problem's here, I can stand with you. You didn't run and fix the crack because you knew that would be the wrong thing to do. I'll tell them that I told you not to fix the crack. Because if we fix that crack, you're getting a new one. Well, you won't. Next guy will. And I can't tell you how many sweet people would call me up before I had my head out of my tuchus. Well, Stephen, you did such a good job on this other crack. Same wall. I'm going to have you fix this one. I'm sitting there going, why did that happen?
You put your finger in the hole in the dam over here,
you know
and then
what?
another hole.
It can be that way if you haven't taken care of the why.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case. If there's new gutters on the house and they've got the landscape fixed, then
then
we're okay. So the person matters more than the house. Way more. That way you can advocate for them. You treat them like a client, not a customer. Clients buy information. Customers buy products. You don't treat your guys like customers.
No.
Let them know that. It's important. It separates you from the crowd. You don't sell house. That's why I was able to call you. There's other places I can't go because I couldn't sit in front of them in good conscience. I couldn't. Plus, you're in it for the long haul. This man thing is right up my alley because if there was ever a man's man, you're looking at one. And I appreciate others. We sharpen each other, steel to steel. So it's important that we talk about things that might make us uncomfortable.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
And embrace the things that might make us feel like that's just stupid, or that's what we do when we want to color something up that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Well, is this why you started your stewardship program? Just because the lack of, one, passion like you have, and two, the lack of accountability some of these people are putting into place in their practice?
You guys lead by example, shouldn't I?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you're charming to me. You say nice things about me. I have to earn that. If that was bought, that's disgusting. I don't want anything. I'd rather reality. I told you before we started this, you got a hardball, tee it up. Well, I mean it.
Yeah,
That's exciting. There's nothing to hide here. The first 10 years of my industry, being in this industry, I was the problem. Why? I was so excited about being good at fixing things because I understood concrete and how to fix it. And I knew how to make it. I knew more than, I was fired up. And I was a part of the problem. So I ended up fixing so many. And I had worked for another company, and I actually had fixed those houses that I had had my name on them, and those people loved me. I didn't do it on purpose. It's one thing if you're doing something and you're ignorant. Once you know it's a sin, and that's the way it is, and you got to repent, you got to turn away from it, you got to get moving in the right direction, then people will walk with you. If I'm down, I'll get grabbed by 18 arms, pick me right up, and keep walking. Has this been a fast start? No, this is hard. I'm talking about dentistry, right? I'm talking about,
it's not like you're saying, it's not the sexiest thing to sell.
No, but marketing, reach and frequency. So if I continue to do things the right way, and that's not spending money. Was I on Channel 4? Yeah, I did. I went ahead and ran a month or so. I was on their morning show. So I wanted to have some good, strong pieces where people could see that, I'm not afraid to speak in front of everyone. That's why I'm going to be speaking at the Missouri Association of Code Enforcement at the Lake of the Ozarks on the August 31st. I'll have a room full of inspectors and code enforcement people wanting some help on how to navigate this renegade industry.
Yeah. So is there like changes that can be made where, as far as like, there's going to be training that should be required? Is that kind of what you're shooting for?
I think what we ought to first start with is let's get our inspectors on a little better checklist.
Okay.
If you run downstairs and you see a couple of cracks that are bad, and then immediately take your tuchus back outside and see what that cause might have been. See if we can find it. See if it's been addressed. This is more important. What got me started in this also is I was in, I won't name the town because I don't want the code enforcement guy to be upset there, but if he's listening, I hope he is, and he'll remember this day. I was with a realtor. She wanted me to fix 2 cracks. Now, normally you call a foundation guy up. That's not too hard of a deal to get done. 2 diagonal cracks, they're 9-footers. They're going to get CC'd and carbon fiber. There's, a couple grand sale there. Why wouldn't I just write it? Why wouldn't I just write it? Well, because it's the wrong thing to do. Why would it be the wrong thing to do? When I went outside, there was a patio that had tilted back at this house, and that water was just funneling right at it, and it had 4-inch gutters on it. Well, the gutter thing held no ground with the inspector guy at all because he didn't want to talk about it. And at that time, I didn't know that a 4-inch gutter only held 0.8 gallons and a 6-inch held 2 gallons. I didn't know that yet because I hadn't gotten, you start teaching something, you learn way better about it, right?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know way more than I did when I thought I knew something. So at some point, I might really know something. But I'm an expert witness in court. And I slam these guys. I get $5,000 to beat the snot out of bad people, and I rarely make it to court. If I get deposed, I love beating the snot out of that. And that lawyer will sit there, and every hour they got a break, and the stenographer stops. Why are you so hostile? Get on the right side of it, man, and I'll help you. Well, doesn't everybody deserve a defense? No. No. How about no? How about take your licks? No. So by the end of and you know what they always ask me, I'm a dude from St. Anne, so it ain't like I got some silver spoon or some checkbook. It's math, dude. Do the math. You're wrong. You'll never be right. It's an infinite world we live in, so math wins. And that's it. That's it. I've made it to court twice out of a bunch of $5,000 bills. So, yeah, but that's not where I need to be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's greedy. That's me just picking off idiots. Who cares? I mean, really, it's like whooping up on someone that can't see. I mean, I'm a warrior. My wife even bought me this ring as a warrior. So I love the fact, but a warrior is meek. Meek is strength controlled. So I want to come alongside. I don't have a hammer to beat. Look, facts are facts. If it's your daughter we were putting in this house, you'd sure come around to what I got to say. And how many times I've said that to somebody, would you put your kid in this house?
Yeah, I usually sell.
Oh.
When I'm talking to somebody, I get a lot of calls about refinancing. I'm
Yeah.
like, doesn't make sense. I was like, if you were my brother, I'd tell you to not do this. So that's why I'm going to give you the advice. Like, no, you shouldn't be refinancing. I had past client reach out about a sister, and they were going to refinance, and it was going to cost her like $10,000 in just fixed costs because they were charging her so many points. I'm like,
Oh,
it's like if she could just wait, like she can get that same rate probably for free in about 12 months. Like,
see, that's knowledge she doesn't have, and
Right.
you have it.
right.
See, that's taking advantage.
But that's the thing. This lender, again,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, right.
This
Well, you know,
lender
it doesn't
blasts
make
off
you
into
look better if you named them.
Yeah,
This
lender likes to blast off into space, but they like to charge a bunch of points for their costs or for their loans, and it just doesn't make sense for most people. And I can't tell you, I probably too. And the cool thing about it is I probably get more business from this, and I can't tell you how many people I tell no.
Oh, I've seen him tell people no multiple times because,
Yeah.
hey, you've got a better option if you do this. And it's going to be something that doesn't make sense for him or something where he doesn't make any money off of
Right.
it, but he's steering them away because this is the better option. This is what's going to actually help them.
Haven't you ever? Here's the sick part of all of this. You've given them that good advice, and they've went ahead and went another route anyway. And you just, I've actually been brought back to houses later. Well, Stephen, we went ahead and did this, and I can't tell you how many.
Those are the fuck around and find out type.
Yeah, and they know, and a lot of them, they're just sick to their stomach, and you'll meet with the other spouse or he just couldn't stand here. He was so embarrassed, or she knew that she shouldn't have went this route, or blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Nobody died. Let's just keep moving,
There's certain things, like I'm one of those people, but like not when it comes to something around a house. But again, that's us having that knowledge, being in the industry, and that most people don't. And
well, we need advocates like you.
know.
We need people that'll be nice to people.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be about a buck.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, that should come because you're good at what you do. That's why people would call me. It was like, I heard you were good at this. Well, thank you. What is it I can do for you? Well, this, or well, that. And another neat thing too is having a phone full of really good people in the industry that you can give them the help that they need and let them find the folks that
that's a whole nother issue right there. Because I mean, there's just way too much shit in our industry, both on the mortgage side, the real estate side. Like, there's like,
have you seen my side? You at least have to take a test.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Right.
we have no accountability, which makes the officials lose their mind because they don't know what to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could start a foundation LLC today and open up my foundation company tomorrow, right? I mean, there's no requirements for me.
I
right?
did this. That's, the hardest part about doing it?
They don't require any
Getting
license.
insured.
Oh.
It was so hard for me.
Really?
Well,
that
if
makes
you
sense,
tell
yeah.
them the truth, most of them are insured for painters. Most of them are not insured properly at all.
Wow.
They're not. And when you pull that slip and you're like, wait a minute, you guys are in a ditch. Well, no. They're not supposed to be in a ditch. They're not supposed to be digging a hole.
You're underground
so they're
right now.
not insured properly. So that homeowner's liable so bad.
I didn't know that. I didn't even
Yeah.
the insurance
That
piece.
liability falls back.
Oh
I mean, it makes
my
complete
God.
sense.
That's why the first time, if anybody's you're having work, you need to ask them if they're licensed. If they're not,
Well, that's
tell them to get the hell out.
That's
of
why
there.
you're low budget. And I'm not trying to hurt the new people because I was cheaper when I was new. But you took a chance with me when I was new, and I made mistakes when I was new. Now I was the guy that went back and fixed it. The ones that told me. I'm sure there's people out there that just can't find me because I've sold millions and millions and millions of dollars in repairs. 35 years is lots of millions,
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
so at least 70 to 100 million I've sold. That's a lot, right? It's a lot of houses. So why wouldn't someone want to see me? Because they don't know. And that's why I'm here.
Well, what would be some advice for homeowners, just like some, quick, things that they can do right off the bat to help prevent this from happening?
I think the first thing you want to do is get your gutters and downspouts evaluated before you buy them. Why would I say that? How many times I sent good companies over, and I'm not throwing them, I won't name them, but they put up exactly kind of what was there. When there was supposed to be another downspout, water doesn't do right turns, right? So if you've got water going all the way around a super long porch, it ain't making it.
Yeah.
Add a downspout. Let's start thinking about it. You ever looked at a fourplex? You know why fourplexes have 8 downspouts on them? Because that owner doesn't ever want to go back to that building again. And they learn that. And there's a downspout on each long run on both sides. And that's it.
Yeah.
And they stand forever. Right? So let's start looking at how the commercial people do it. That's where the American standards of tests and measures got lost. There's nothing for that but the rules are still there. The materials still work the same way. And that's where I lean in. And that's where I'll win over a contractor that's had bad behavior for a long time because it's his habit.
Yeah.
But when you can clearly illustrate to him that there's a better way and how to do it. See, it's one thing to call them out. You better show them the other way.
Yeah.
They will. They didn't know. And they're almost aggravated by it.
That they didn't know.
Well, yeah, because they've, this is their life. You just hit them right in the manhood. I got to tell you how many times I had Damon Sagehorn, one of my favorite engineer buddies. I can remember one job I was at. He was like, "Hey, Burton, I thought you were smart. What's with the sock on the pipe?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, it's better than no fabric." "Yeah, no, you're building a filter cake up on the pipe. You need water to get in there. That's not where you build it up. You build that out in the trench. The fabric is laid in the trench." I had to learn that from someone that had the guts to say, "You got spinach in your teeth, bruh." And you know how I am. I'm kind of hard to say that to, and I make it that way on purpose. Because if you want to fight with me, make sure your shit's in. Make sure you're lined up.
Yeah.
Because I ain't gonna take no spanky bull crap answer. We're bottle fed too much by that garbage. Can't stand up for the truth. What are we gonna stand up for? And it's your house. This is a lot of people, it's their biggest investment. There's a lot of folks out there that don't have stocks and bonds and don't have a lake house. And a lot of times that lake house ain't no asset. So, you know what I mean? We need to make sure that as they get into their golden years, that they can maybe die in that house and not have to worry about being carted out and sent to a place now. And that's a tough gig. I've watched it happen.
I've been hearing a lot lately too that, with all these tear down and rebuilds going on in Kirkwood, that you're seeing a ton of foundation issues out there as well.
Terrible.
Is it just
That's all farmland. That's all old farmland and old creeks and valleys that they jammed houses in because it's such high dollar value. Well, now we're paying that price. Ellisville has the same. There's an area off Clarkson and Hutchinson Road. That ground is so unstable. Those homes go up. Oops. As I smack they go up, they go down. They do everything.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, this.
There we go. Now you got it.
As you could tell, I should probably tied my hands behind my back. But I mean, you actually will see raised foundations come up and blast out of the ground, which is really odd for our area because we don't have that freeze thing.
Yeah.
It's clay. Clay heaves when it hydrates.
Oh,
We make vessels out of clay so that we can hold something in it to drink. We don't want to use it as,
Right.
Or if you're
backfill.
in South City in the early 1900s, you built pipes out of it.
Yes, exactly right. Our clay tile. The word drain tile comes from our terracotta pipes.
Oh, really?
Those little belled pipes.
Yeah.
That's where the word drain tile came from.
Really?
Tiles.
Yeah.
Clay
there are
tiles.
tiles. Yeah.
Clay tiles. It's the fun part of knowing why and how your house is built. You know how many houses I went up to and they thought it was a block home because they could see the lines, but it's been painted a lot. Those were the forms. I'll show them. I go, look up. This guy was a craftsman that built your house. Those 2x12s were your forms. That's just like Henry Ford, man. That guy I'm not a Ford fan, but I sure loved how he did things in some ways. And he didn't waste.
Yeah.
And to make that car that cheap for the masses, he had to not waste, right? So the crates that the cars came in were the actual slats that went into the car. How cool is that?
That's cool.
Well, it's that kind of thinking. So I loved letting people know what they own. It's exciting for them. Now they can get a feel for their house, have some pride and ownership. And if they've got a stone foundation, don't coat the walls on the inside. That's going to kill off your typo mortar. Typo mortar has calcium in it and it needs to breathe. It can get hard again. If you coat it, you kill it and it turns to dust and you got to escape from Alcatraz. So,
do you think finishing basements lead to like the increased odds of foundation issues?
None whatsoever. What can be a problem is penting up moisture.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Foundation walls. So what do we have in St. Louis? We have cast in place, which is poured concrete. We have block CMU, a little bit of brick mixed with those sometimes. And occasionally you'll run into a wood. I ran into a church off of Clayton Road, built in the 80s. It has wood frames in the ground with metal over them. It's the strangest. So you just don't quite ever think you're going to know. But my point of talking about that is as long as you can control the moisture through the walls and manage that, because it's going to happen. And that's what cove plates are put in on basement floors. Well, what's a cove plate? It kind of looks like a baby base molding at the bottom of your wall that sits at the floor. And it's the idea of it is that's out enough. It'll catch the water that would run down the wall and go into the drainage system as long as it doesn't come out with force. So again, we have to be careful with that though, because of radon. So there's a lot of things going on when someone decides to design a basement for someone, and they better be thinking with their whole head and not their wallet. And so why are we treating this person like a customer? Some of these poor folks, men and women, they don't know. And they just heard two other people. Now they're sick to their stomach because they don't know. Yeah, I'm last in. I'm saying there, but I'm saying things that have just ripped everything they ever thought about apart. And it's tough because, I would never, I don't make anyone, I send them a bid. They should wake up, have coffee and go, I want him. Not, he talked me into it. The ether wore off. I don't want to do this. No, I don't, no. Shouldn't ever have to be a right of rescission when it comes to something with a foundation repair. And do you know how many times I've had to beat the snot out of a waterproofing or foundation repair company to get the money back because they were caught before they got there? And the people were out of there 3 days. I go, I dare you to keep the money. We're going to turn the heat up on you. And suddenly the money comes back.
Wait, say that again.
So you have a 3-day rescission in Missouri.
Oh.
Right the return.
Okay.
You can get your deposit back.
Got it. So these people paid another company,
they get them to get a big deposit down,
and then
they'll never. And so a lot of these people will walk away from there, and they're better off, especially with some of the diagnosis. We went to it's bad enough to encapsulate a crawl space. People think that's a great idea because they're nasty. Well, how about managing the water? They won't be so nasty, and that comes from the outside. So let's get the downspouts away. In the event that you're on an area that's wet, then let's put a drainage system in and get the water away. But you don't run a vapor barrier all the way up to the wood. Why? You can never inspect that foundation now. And now you've made a host of things to live. We will get into them and it's wet and it's breeding. It's dark. So you've got food. Mold and critters. Either spiders, you name it, and you've got it when it's wet. We just ripped apart one in Kirkwood that was $35,000 to fix it. And he thought it was fixed when they bought it. They bought it with, it wasn't fixed. It was hidden. Yeah. We have about 8 houses right now where they're trying to go after, and I can't name the names, but by the way, any new company that comes to this town, you better put a red X on them because they're coming because they know there's money here. Right. When I started doing this in the 90s, there was a handful of us. Now you wouldn't be able to name them all. And they're laying people away $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, not taking care of anything outside. And then they're doing the wrong thing inside. Poor people, and a lot of times they're women that are strapped and they could afford to make the payment. And they got them on payments. Now they're stuck. They can't even finish what they started, much less they are suicidal sometimes. They're crying, sick to their stomach. There's nowhere to go. All in the name of money, greed. And a lot of times they took advantage of a good young person or a person that was a communicator that was used to be in insurance or used to be in something else and loves people and loved the training that they got because it seemed uplifting and positive. And if you're believing what they're telling you, I'm certainly probably feels good. I've been in the wrong church before. I can have a feel good moment, but does it come out? Does it check out in scripture? That's what does the ASTM standards. Can we find the truth? Well, if you can rip a repair apart because of the materials, you got a problem.
Yeah, sure.
That just kind of continues to lead into it because you look at the list of most or least trusted professions, real estate and mortgage lenders are always towards the top.
We should be above you. No one wants to talk about it. Oh, I even asked when I was on Channel 4, I was like, no, you guys, in fact, they'll have some of the bad people on there when it's raining real hard. I was like, does it ever? There's nothing they can do. They're like an open channel to it. They even know.
It's not like
no, it's business. And so we have to understand the world we're in. Homeowners have to look out for themselves. It's too hard to find the Zacks and Pats and Stevens of this world, but that doesn't mean we give up. Isn't that why we're here right now?
100%.
We're not doing this just to feel good. I mean, we want to help men be men. We want to help homeowners be better homeowners. We want to grow people. Pass the knowledge.
Speaking of that, after 35 years, what have foundations taught you about people?
I think what happened, foundations, wow, what has that taught me about people? Is that we're in a hurry. And when I'll liken it to when I was a young man. If that car had a Kenwood stereo and some 6x9 crickets in the back and nice Kragers on there, man, I didn't want to hear the tick, 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 tick from the motor. I can't tell you how many. Well, it's in the school district. It's on the street. My mom lives down here. And so they don't want to know, or they just want what they want. And they're going to deal with it. COVID was probably the biggest smackdown on people because there was no inspections done a lot. And just total rape and pillage.
Yes.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
horrible. But so those folks are still in those homes. And a lot of those folks will have their mom and dad come live with them. And they'll buy this house because it's got this finished bedroom. And now they've got them upstairs displaced because it's all molded out and they got to rip it all apart and they're sick. And it's not making the news. And I think I know why. There's no answer. So if you bring a negative up and you don't bring something up that can fix it, then we probably ought to not bring that up because we've had another murder tonight too, but we're not going to stop that. Yeah. What a watered down. And that's another thing. They've watered our industry down and made it simplistic. There's a difference between simple and simplistic. There's only a few ways these things have problems. And if we could just get on board and make sure that starts to become common knowledge, wow, it's going to change things. So I feel like I'm the grandfather of something that will have legs. I hope I see it in my lifetime, and I pray I got another 20 years. I'm not trying to step off, but what I'm saying is I'm smart enough to know that it's going to take young men like you that are going to be able to take it to that next level so that you can then get the next ones coming that are going to embrace the truth and being around the right people. So, before we start calling for these big inspections, let's make sure we know what we're getting involved with before we start doing our mega due diligence. And let's start with the hard stuff. And I could sit there and talk about that and leave it alone. But, if we're going to have somebody dig a trench, let's teach them about soils. Let's teach them about hydrostatic pressure. Hydration. Let's teach them about all of it. And that's what we do in the class. We break it down to where they know everything about everything. Because you might want to own a company when you get out of the class. You might not ever want to do it. You might want to put this in your company. You might just want to be a good worker. That's for sure. What I want them doing is while they got their phone in their hands, why don't you pull a material safety data sheet up on that product and see if it can take the heat or not. See if it can take the cold or not. Ooh, that's got to be put in. Let's go check the check data sheet on it to make sure we're being healthy and safe with it ourselves. Let's make sure we have the proper gloves and the proper things to use these things. So while we're standing around on the job, that's how a new person can become such an asset. He knows a lot of things. And I guarantee you, people that will leave my class, they'll probably want to have their own company because they're going to see things being done that's going to make them disturbed. Because you learn bad habits when you get into an industry, you know, corners to be cut.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Absolutely.
So how does the class work?
So the class in February will be starting out. It's a 16-week class. 7 of the weeks are with me, but most of it's online because a lot of you folks got to work or you got a business. And I'll work that 7 weeks out that you're with me are broken out. But the first week is boot camp, and I want to give you an attitude adjustment. We're going to talk about your attitude. We're going to talk about your character. We're going to talk about your finances. We're going to talk about your insurance. We're going to talk about your personal equipment and your clothing. Don't rely on your company to give you gloves. Don't rely on them to give you anything. Go buy it. First check you get, then go buy it. You've borrowed money from your mom before, go borrow it for this. And if, you know, a lot of times these are second and third careers. I got into this business in my 40s. You can find this at and if you're in money, this makes money. Golly, it makes money. Temper yourself with that. I don't know why every landscaping company, you should be doing this. You're already breaking concrete, laying concrete, learn some more. And most of these landscaping companies are doing terrible things outside because they didn't learn about the foundation. They aren't doing it on purpose. You know, you shouldn't have a French drain next to a house. It should not be in the infill, in your backfill, in the pervious soil. No. Why? It's going to die one day, not if. Now you got a bomb on your house. All that water boom, right in the backfill. That's all going right on. Most people don't know that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to get this out of here. Oh, we just put a brand new French drain in black pipe.
I was going to ask you, French drains, overrated or underrated?
Oh, they're very good when they're put in properly.
What does that look like?
Having a fabric, using river rock. You know, people are like, oh, I use clean rock. You know what? A crushed rock's got minus on it. Minus is the debris that's left. You ever have a clean driveway? You might have all clean rock put in. You drive on it a few times. What you got? Crushed up rock again, right? Well, water is heavy, 8.35 pounds per gallon. 48 gallons is 400 pounds. You don't think 400 pounds is going to start to seat rock and crush rock? Yeah. It creates that minus, which then clogs that pipe. So we want to get river rock in there. God's knocked the edges off it. It's smooth as a baby's butt. Not going to be any debris. It's clean, clean, clean. And water, it doesn't sit still. Doesn't turn into a rock.
Made to be in water.
It's awesome. So a little pitch, good distance. And another really cool thing about using PVC is you're heading. So now when you've collected this French drain, another big mistake is, where are you taking it? Try and take it to daylight every chance you get. Always. It's the best. Make sure you put a vent end on it so nothing crawls in to die to clog up your situation. But all right, so if you don't go to dry wells, to that, you go to a dry well, or if you're in Webster, you're going to be putting it in a vault. You know, Webster makes you count all of the downspouts, then creates a scenario. You might have a 20 by 3 by 3 rock island underneath your yard for the water to go based on their calculations, and that is no joke. Yeah.
Just a concrete block in your base, in your backyard.
What? No. It's a vault that water can go to. So you make it out of river rock. You dig this giant trench, right? 3 foot deep, 3 foot wide, 15 feet long, 20 feet long. And you bring these pipes to it. It's all filled with river rock, and then you put grass on top. That's where all the water goes from your yard. It's to that vault. It's not in anything.
It's not like a pipe.
I think it's getting to be a bit crazy. What it is they're trying to keep the water off all the neighbors, and there's not enough room in some of these yards, so that's not going to. They've changed their rules so many times, so you just have to roll with the changes.
I figure the water sitting underneath.
So here's how you. So
it's going to be.
So here's what you do. So let's say I came to that house. There's always something to do, right? I'm a country boy. I live in High Ridge. I'm on septic, and septic presents issues. But it also teaches you about flow, right? So when a septic has field lines, so send some field lines off of your base, off of it. Let's feed your yard a little better. Let's have a rain. Let's just run some lines out. Here's another big tech tip. When you're doing a French drain, you've got your run. Now, say the French drain's along the house and it's 40 feet along the house. But you got about another, say, 30 feet to get to where you want to have the water go because you don't want it in the play set or pool, whatever. So you've got this long run. Best to have a vent now, right? A vertical vent coming out of the ground at the end of the French drain. Well, now that we start into solid pipe. So we can clean things out if we have to in the event that it does debris up.
Well, I would imagine that would help with flow too, right?
Right.
Because I mean, think
Vapor
of
lock.
Think about your shotgun and a beer,
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep.
You got the hole in the top.
Exactly. Vapor lock. That's exactly right. And it's true. And I can't tell you how many times when more than one downspout is put into a piece of pipe, you're messing up. So only 2 downspouts to 1 4-inch pipe. and that's if you don't have too much water from both of them. Now here's key. So when you're putting that French drain in, those holes are at 10 and 2. They're at the high side of your pipe. So the water will run the rock just as much. And then when it gets over the rock, it'll fall into the pipe. Now, a lot of these other pipes are having more and more holes in them. That's fine. Let the water in. But what's really important is now that you've collected that water after that 40 feet, now you got your vent, now you're going into solid pipe. Hey, let's go perf pipe. Let's just put it down. Let's let the water back out now, all the way running to that dry well. We don't inundate the dry well that way. And we're feeding the rest of the yard nice.
Water.
Just letting it back out. And we're not letting it back out as fast as we collected it. You know what I mean? But it's going to be coming right over the, well, that's beautiful. So that was kind of like my new fun thing that I started doing a few years ago. That's working like a charm. But bleeders, to your answer, bleeders are how you take care of a vault or a big problem.
Okay.
So there's always a way out, you know?
I'm surprised there's just not more of a way to tie French drains into sewer system.
Oh, our sewer systems are too little.
Oh,
okay. Goodness. Oh, my.
Everywhere or just in
most everywhere. Our infrastructure is way too little for our town. You certainly in the city don't want to be fooling with them. No, so you're back, and you'll see so many of them say goes to fresh water, goes to fresh water, goes to fresh water, like fish on them, like do not.
Yeah.
So you're best to just put it in the yard. And usually most yards have plenty of room to put the water.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's when you got to get goofy outside and pumps outside, be very slow to do it.
I was going to say maybe like create a system that ties into like a sprinkler system that once it's filled, then you can turn the sprinkler system on.
Now that's a pretty cool idea. That's I never even heard of such. That's a cool idea. The reality of it is
patent that shit right now.
Do it. Well, I mean, you never know. That's how things happen. Like,
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
Well, I mean, it's like anything else. It's a byproduct.
Save your water bill. Save on. It's going to help disperse.
Well, let's talk about that. Have we ever seen the rain gardens? I mean, the barrels.
Yes, the rain barrels.
Wah, 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 wah.
Fill with rain.
Yeah, they'll have them out there, and they look like a big old giant plastic, barrel monkeys.
Like one of those things. That just, okay.
Oh yeah. And it's got the little entry thing in the top for the downspout to go in. And their idea is that you have a little hose that comes off it at the bottom and it waters something, but most people don't. And that thing just ends up filling up with water and overflowing and killing their house. You have a bomb next to your house now. I gotta say, just because
your heart was in the right place.
Well,
Steven.
it's kind of like the pop-up. That's the path to hell because people put pop-ups in and they're so mad when I get there and I go, well,
pop-ups?
So they're water emitters, the little green things that you see and they pop up.
Yep, I know what you're
and if ever you see one of those, immediately say, we got to change that. You'd do better to at least walk up to it and drill holes in the pipe that's right there so the water could maybe leak into the ground. And not just sit in the line the whole time because that water sits in the line. As soon as it can't pop up the pop, it all just sits in there. So all the shingle debris all in there, just garbage. And then it starts turning green. Then it can't flush out. Now they're backing up. The gutters are overflowing.
You got a bomb against
So
your house.
pop-up emitters shouldn't be sold to anybody ever. They're terrible. So you want a hole in the ground with rock in it. And then at the top, you see a drain instead of a pop-up. It's just a drain. Well, that drain's just letting the way, in case the drywall's all the way full, just spills out of it and runs down the yard. Beautiful. You're not being mean to the neighbor. You're taking care of business, and it's away from the house. away from the backfill. These are really big reasons why things get messed up, especially if the house has problems. And then I come up and they're trying to say, well, this is the problem. I'm like, yeah, well, and this is what caused it. And we're fixing this, this, and this. Then we're going to get to that. So that's why I'm saying when you take my big class, you're going to learn the big picture. And if you use your talent the wrong way, you could dark side sell people to death. If I was an ugly person that way, I'd be a quadrillionaire. Talk about a license to steal, especially if you're charming.
Yeah.
And you can speak. If you don't have character with that, good night.
What's a foundation issue that you get called on that really usually isn't that serious?
The corner break. You know how a foundation will have that little corner? Yeah, brick houses will bust the corners off. That's cosmetic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've had a lot of people like in my old neighborhood because I built the house. The hairline cracks that come through the basement. They're
off the windows.
Yeah,
stuff.
Shrinkage. All right. So shrinkage cracks happen because we make concrete out of all solids, right?
Yeah.
Well, water turns to a vapor, and there's many gallons of water, many. So now we have a couple hundred gallons of water that's just disappeared. Well, that is just that volume, that mass has retreated. So that's why you have that perfect shrinked edge around your floor in the basement. When you walk around, that's perfect. Well, it's shrunk just like that. Think about your window. It's a release. So when water gets around a cement particle, man, does it get hot. Whoo, it burns. I mean, it's amazing. That's the binding agent for concrete is that cement. And the more cement, the better it is. So once that water hits the cement without a retarding agent, something to slow it down to where it can set slow, it's going to come on. So you have to be careful with that. And that heat causes a problem. So with that heat, things shrink. So with that big opening in the window, that's why you'll catch that one little corner. You'll see it starting, and it never really does anything that makes any sense. It dives off diagonally usually. Mm-hmm. It's just a natural pull. That's not structural. That's just part of it. And if you want to tell them, say a little urethane, you're good to go. It's a few $100. Don't worry about it. Yep. I mean, maybe $450 if it's a large, so that's do it. Be glad. It never has to be redone if it took properly and you're done. So shrinkage happens.
Yeah. Don't we know?
Okay.
We all know that one.
You guys got to get a rim shot in here.
We all know about that.
So having said that, the other thing I get calls on a lot is they didn't put control joints in the floors a lot. And what is a control joint? It's just like your driveway. That's why they're there. It's because that controls the cracking, right? So they put them in floors now. They'll put wire in the floor and they'll pull the wire out. And that way it's a clean line, kind of little thin, and everything's fine. That way you can say, it's controlled. Let's see, okay. Or a floor's going to do that. And so that ends up being what people will call me a lot of times is the floor's cracking. And I'm like, well, that's heavy carpet. What? This house could have no floor in it and it could still stand. Your foundation wall and your foundation footing is what your house sits on. Thus, a crawl space having nothing.
Right.
That's a good illustration of a basement with no floor.
Right.
Short walls.
Yeah, for sure.
So the three foundations we work on generally are crawl space, basement, and garage / outbuilding. You know what I mean? But they're all pretty much the same. So another thing too is things will get mispierred. Piers are put every 6 to 8 feet for a reason. That's the math. And when you exceed that, you have a problem. When you come closer than that, that's because you're really beefing something up. And sometimes you will put them closer for a specific reason. This could be an indicator for somebody that's starting to get some weird vibes from their bids because they're all coming in different. They're not even placing the piers in the same place. It's one thing to not use the same products, but when they're not even diagnosing the same, and neither one of them are actually going towards the why, they're just adding some other services or products, you have to ask yourself, what part of this is actually necessary and what part of it's extra? Did we take care of why this happened? And that's generally, they just think, I had a system. I didn't have waterproofing. I had waterproofing. And sometimes that can be the case, but very rarely, So cracks in the floors, the crack on the corner of a house are the things that usually folks get a little nervous about that are real happy to find out that it's normal. Yeah.
What's one thing you think every homeowner should do once a year that almost nobody actually does?
Well, you should do it twice a year, and
Twice a year,
that's clean your gutters.
Clean your gutters. That's
No,
kinda
I
where
mean,
thought
and
were
if you
gonna say.
can't do it, the firemen will do it real cheap. They love it. They love it, and they're on ladders and roofs all the time, and they love side work. So that's what you do. Doesn't hurt to have the fire popo in the fireplace know where you live,
Right.
especially if you're up in years and you don't want to do it. Heck yeah, have them be your friend.
Yeah.
No, but that's who you have come do it. Absolutely, and you put it in your calendar. You put it on there just like you got your grandkid's birthday. And if you're all high tech and all that in a bag of chips, you put it in your Google. But you do it, and that's how you stay on your game. And if you don't think that's important, then it'll bite you later and you'll find out how important it is then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I know you said that. Is there one other thing that homeowners could do today outside of cleaning their gutters that they could go and check and to help?
I think the next thing they need to do is, a lot of these homes are landscaped wrong. Go outside and make sure you can see 2 inches of your foundation. If you can't, there's a conversation to be had. Now, I'm not necessarily saying you need to call me and have me come out, but if your mind logically can't fix that, then we're going to have to come up with a landscaping idea that's going to make that work. Well, why would we do that? That's called conducive conditions for termites. And so they can crawl right in. Everything does when the foundation's not seen. Plus, it can't be inspected. We have to see those corners, because if it's a finished basement, that's how I'm going to be able to tell for sure that those walls have moved. So you're uninspectable, and siding's never allowed to touch the ground. So why should we not? So don't let that happen. So what happens? It happens with brick a lot, because if you feel comfortable with that, it's a bad idea. So I'd say let's make sure that we don't have our downspouts going into black pipe. And if they do, that should be bothering you to no end right now. Matter of fact, if you can't see the end and you don't know it's working for sure, take it off now. Get you a splash guard. Research what you would do moving forward. And if you need to get a black pipe, put it on top of the ground solid and point it where it needs to go away from your house until you can figure out what to do. Especially if you have a chronic problem in the basement. Go right outside. I guarantee you we're going to, if we're smart, we're going to see what's causing our problem. And you know what's funny about me? It was until I was warranting it till I started doing that. Mr. Oh, you're so good. I wasn't so good for a while. I didn't think of it. So anyone coming off as righteous as me has made all the mistakes and just own them.
Yeah.
So it isn't righteousness. I have black pipe going into concrete at my house. Can't change it. It's already in it. My patio's gigantic. So I caught it at the end of the patio and put PVC from there on, and I'm praying everything's going to be okay in the meantime. But you know what? I didn't know. I put pop-ups in homes early on. I thought that was a neat thing to do. Like the sock on the pipe I was telling you about when I got popped about that. I thought I was being helpful.
Like you said earlier, it's ignorance until
It
not a
is.
sin until.
It is. And if you're going to be so here's where the rebuttal comes when people want to play ugly with me. Well, you're the expert. Well, then why are you doing it if you can't receive any criticism? If you have no learning ability, you shouldn't be in any industry. You're still learning, aren't you, Pat?
Every day.
Are you still? Well,
Every day.
I know I am. Especially if you're going to teach something. Good night. You'll find out what you don't know. By your research, which edifies my position. We are not idiots, and we're a show-me state. If somebody's going to say America how to do this, then it's going to be Missouri that's going to do it. And I'm going to make sure it is. I came back to the state for a reason. I'm proud of this state. I liked Texas real good, and I liked Arkansas just fine. I hated Illinois. And I loved South Dakota because that was my Air Force base. That was Ellsworth. I was a Minuteman II missile technician, and I am proud of that. Thank you. So, having been gifted in my life and having the ability to do so many fun things, why wouldn't someone else in their life want to have a career that's successful and makes them money and gives them a sense of purpose? Knowing that they've got people around them that will walk arm in arm with them to make sure they're successful when they screw up. Because that's when you make your best decisions, is when you're facing trouble. The client loves it when I'm telling you, It's nothing wrong with making a mistake if it's honest. It's what you do with it that matters every time.
Speaking to that, one of our topics is manhood, and you've mentioned it a few times, and being a man. What's something that any listener listening to this can take to help improve their life as a man, or just in general, if they were to start tomorrow?
The first thing you do is you God something. You don't Google it. And at that point, people ask me if I've been successful. Why? I make my bed. I brush my teeth because they cost me thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands of dollars. And I do everything in my day work-wise to the best of my abilities. And I continue to learn new things. It opens the doors for an opportunity to come. So being a man means being humble. It means leading. It means being respectful. It means helping others. It means looking back where you came from and drawing them to. We have an obligation to lead. And if you're not a leader, then be a good follower. We need them too. But just make sure you're following somebody that should be followed. And that's what happens. A lot of times these guys, good people, will go to work for a company that they didn't research them, but it was a really good salary. So lucrative package. Love saying they get to work for Eckstein Corporation or blah, 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 this, and good on the resume, bad on them. So we have to be careful what horse we back. And going to work for somebody in my industry, if you got any chutzpah about it all, do not do it. Start your own. Get 3 guys that you'll go to battle with and make an agreement. You're going to stay together for a few years. Make sure one of you will take the golden ring. It's a good chance a couple, and more than one, a lot of times you're going to have a leader that will rise up from it. But now you're doing good work. And here's the thing about doing good work. You don't go back to it. Occasionally you get a PVC pipe that leaks. You get something to pump the, but I didn't have a lot of go backs. If I did, I was there myself with my foreman talking about it. And I didn't throw them under the bus if they made a mistake. I'd tell them I probably made that mistake once in my life too. You don't get to make it again. Let's move forward. I was in the back of a car one time when I was working for W.R. Grace. And Dickie Schilleb was the most bad to the bone VP for Lafarge Concrete. This guy was 6 foot 12,000, weighed about 42 billion, all muscle, drove the big Crown Vic. He was just Texas personified. Had the hard accent, strong look, sun-baked face, bald-headed, crew-cutted. And I remember we batched, I say we, you're in it with your friends. And this plant manager, Mike, was in Palestine, Texas. And we batched this prison wrong, $10,000 worth of concrete. And back, in their late 80s, that was a little more money than now. And that was kind of a big deal. And he thought he was going to get fired. I kind of thought he would too. Because Dickie wasn't somebody that if he had to tell you how to grab a hammer, he'd hit you with it, So I was thinking, this is not going to go well. We're in the backseat of that car at Crown Vic, and I could see him in the rearview mirror looking back at us. So I remember, so my nickname was Grace. I hated it. But I started because I've worked for W.R. Grace. Oh, well, they wouldn't be nice to me. Hey, Grace, blah, 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 blah. Well, I started introducing myself as Grace. Oh. They quit calling me that. I remember him looking back, and this is something that I want everybody to remember. He looked Mike dead in the eye, and he goes, Mike, you look sick. Mike goes, well, I've just lost my job. I mean, I got a kid in high school. I better not look happy. And Dickie and a pregnant pause is probably the most powerful thing, that silence that happens when words need to be spoken, but they're not being spoken yet. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's like Chinese water treatment. It's like, whoa. Yeah. Mike, I can't believe you're going to quit me after I just spent $10,600 on your education and you're going to quit me. Mike said, I didn't say I was going to quit you. And he goes, then get that crap out of your mouth. We've got work to do. You got things to fix. What a beautiful thing. He's not trash. He's a person. He's a man. He wanted him to act like a man. I got to tell you, I had a guy steal a bunch of stuff from one of the big shot concrete companies in town. And I won't name names because they're Italian and I don't want to get on their bad side. I want them to stay liking me because they like me. And I saw their name on tools and I called them. I said, you had a snake in your den. I have something that ties rebar. It's a machine that would tie rebar. Oh man, some really cool stuff that they'd stolen from them. Their name's all over it. Well, I had them come pick it all up. Well, I'm feeling all good with these folks. I go by to meet them one day, and I'm starting to be myself. And I can be a whiny baby. So I walk in there, and I start going, this guy cheated me, blah, blah, blah. It's going to cost me 40, blah, blah, blah. And I remember him looking at me going, hey, put your big boy pants on. You were the one that decided to be in business. I thought you had a chin. Nothing worse. But these are people I respect. And if they respect you back, you're going to say, hey, this doesn't work or that's not right. And that's what we need more of being a man is just having the guts to say, I can appreciate that, but no.
That ain't right.
Rip the Band-Aid off. I'm a real rip the Band-Aid off guy. When I walk up to a house, hi, so great to meet you. Well, you're going to be buying gutters. I just immediately, when I'm talking to him, looking around, I'm immediately like, look, we're going to get right to business. You might have heard about me, but we'll see what you think when we're done.
Yeah.
I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to look out for you. I am here to be your friend, but it's not going to look like it in the interim. No, when you're being disciplined.
Here's the thing. If you're a true friend, you shouldn't have any problem telling somebody the truth.
Oh, and you feel so good leaving knowing that you saved that person.
Hey, buddy, this is going to be a tough conversation. It might be hard to hear this, but you need to know.
Hey, I love you.
X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
You know?
And I keep thinking of that kid last night. He was just, by the time we got done, he was so grateful. I go, let's make a video to get you out. He goes, and if you want to, go to my YouTube channel and you'll watch the video where I'm getting the young man out when I start with the porch and walk my way around the whole house. You're like, wow, there's a lot going on there. But yet the home inspector said, pretty good. Just keep an eye on this or that. Well, the front wall, you could only see a couple cracks, but then half of it was finished. And I show them on the outside. And the back footing was exposed. You could see they dug a hole. Remember I was telling you about the holes next to the house? There's the footing exposed, broken. I'm telling the realtor, I go, well, that's the footing. Are you sure? Do you see the concrete on top of it? That's the little frost wall in the back. Yeah, I'm sure. He goes, well, that's not very thick. I go, no. Well, I thought those were, yeah, you can think all you want. People might tell you that your footing's down frost level. Lie. That's not true if you have a walkout. Right. Think about it. Your floor's got to be at the top of that footing. Right. Wah, wah, wah. So what type of house you have also will tend to lend to how much work you might have to do on it. Right. But you know what? We just need to have the guts to ask for help. And we didn't have a place to do it. That's what Foundation Rescue is a place to get some help. Either I want to negotiate this industry better. I want to be a better buyer's agent. I want to be in the industry. I want to own one. I want to be a better realtor. I want to be a better lender. I want to know this industry so that I don't get plagued by its lack of being generally policed. We're just allowed to do anything. How in the world are we allowed to put plastic on the walls? Could I do that at Walmart? No way. You couldn't pull this stuff off. And if a wall needs to be stabilized, you don't stick a plate on the wall and run a rod through it into the yard and throw another plate in the yard or whatever. Remember that tensile strength of the concrete being only 10%? Well, let's just say maybe you actually took care of why it happened. I doubt it, but let's just say you did. The force on that wall now is all right there, and that it can't take that much strength in one spot. Well, so you get a perfect break right to it.
Well, and I'm thinking about it like this. It's kind of like opposing forces.
That's right. Mathematically different. Yes. Right.
If you're pushing in and then you're pushing out, like it's gonna.
And they'll hand you
concrete's not flexible.
And you know what? If I'm lying, I'm dying. they'll hand you a torque wrench and tell you to tighten the bolts down in the summer. Truth as it can be spoken. Could you imagine you're some lady and they hand you the wrench? Here you go.
You got it.
Yeah, you're 85. I don't care if you're 25. You don't know. What are you doing? Don't do that.
Yeah, how tight do you
Well, I mean, all of a sudden they're loose?
Yeah.
Wow. What? And now I'm going to tighten them up to what? The earth that's, wait. Time out. This is not right. No, there's nothing right about that. And that's what people are told to do. These are the big guns. These are the big boys. These are the ones that people are going to call because they don't know.
Right.
And I was able to do a couple $1 million without advertising. People found me because I'm kind of public. You know, I learned that 5,000 crazy people will watch me on Facebook run my mouth a little bit, which keeps me a little bit, you know, in some faces, but it's not enough. It takes a lot of grassroots. It takes I'm in a lot of chambers now. I need to be an advocate for as many places as I can. I need to do as much charity work as I can. I need to do as many free houses. And I'm telling you, you run into somebody that's hurting, I don't charge them. This isn't about the money. Obviously, I'm charging $1.75 for, I think, a very valuable.
Oh, for sure.
But I want people to go, that guy. And he went to 2 houses for me and didn't charge me for the other house because the first one was so bad. If I spend 10 minutes at a house, I'm like, we're not even counting this one.
Yeah.
They're so grateful.
Yeah, sure they are.
So I need the word out. Don't waste. And I'm not trying to be, I want to help the home inspectors. I want to be a part of the solution, not the problem. I don't want to make their inspection process so steep. I did the 175 because I'm usually getting called at the last minute because that window's so closed, so small, and I'm running right out. And so I didn't want them to feel, because a lot of times they're broke at that point. They barely got, sometimes that's the case.
What percentage of homes that you go and see typically have issues?
90.
90. How much of that 90, what would you say would be serious versus like, hey, this is pretty simple?
Sadly, that numbers went up to probably 40 to 50%.
Really?
Oh, that's why it's an epidemic.
Yeah.
There's all these companies are coming and working. You can't imagine the horrific stuff that's going on. And these poor people, we just did another job where we took the plastic down for waterproof solutions and there was poop in the wall like a baby's diaper from the mud coming in, and it just came in the plastic and just filled it up. The people could only afford to do half the basement right now. They're just scared to death to think of what the other 2 walls are going to look like. And here's the sump pump right under the electric box. In Kirkwood. So they midnight autoed the whole thing.
Huh.
I sound like Chicken Little because I get so wound up. And now that I'm an old dude, I don't mind doing it. But before I get made fun of, now I look at the source of who's laughing at me. If they're not laughing with me, and I'm like, yeah, well, I don't care. Yeah, I'm a bit spazzy. Yeah, I'm a bit McFly. But you know what? I'm sick of it.
You're passionate.
It hurts me. I don't mind saying it. It breaks my heart for people. It's kind of like, and I hurt people, I bet. I didn't do it on purpose, and that's why I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure that I fix that. We become what we become, or we decide to be what we'll be. Back when my dad was my age, you didn't speak to somebody the wrong way. You made sure they spoke to you first. That's not how it works anymore, and I'm glad. I'm glad there's guys like you out there that care enough to let an old guy like me come out there and say, I'm looking for my protege. I'm looking for someone that can help me take this to the levels that it needs to be taken. My boys weren't interested. They helped me with it a little bit, but they both want to have their own careers, and God bless them. And both of my daughters are kicking butt. So I only wished I lived in the houses they live in now. Yeah. I mean, so good for my kids, good for my grandkids. But my legacy, my whole intent is to change this industry. And I understand it's not going to happen overnight. I have a tendency to think it should happen faster than it is, but that's okay.
It's all of us.
My steps were ordered. I'm eating. I'm not lacking anything. Sometimes I lack courage because you can get mounted up. I would never let too many people see that because that's fake. I'm not built to not be, but those late at night, you're hungry and you're tired and you're going, how am I going to do this now again? When you're weak and you're feeling, that's not a time to make the decision. Just go to bed.
Yeah,
sure.
That's what I did last night. Matter of fact, it was like, Claude had me so mad.
Damn it, Claude.
That damn Claude.
Right, Claude. Yeah.
You know what's neat about Claude? That he doesn't talk back.
Yeah. Well, Steven, this has been incredible, man.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we did this. I'm glad we got to, hear about everything you have going on, hear your story. Is there anything you wanted to chat about before we get you out of here?
I just wanted to say thank you. Most of the time, it isn't like this. Most of the time, it has more of a generated, sale-y kind of a feel where that's not what any of this is about. And I'll say it again, if you need help and you don't have the money, call me. Call me.
And how would they find you?
Well, foundationrescuestl.com or call me at the office at 636-246. What is that? It's a new numbers for me. 636-246-4443. That's Samantha, my AI girl. She's still learning. Be nice to her. But at the end of the day, I'll do this. My cell phone, 636-236-9933. I ain't scared. Call me.
You're the man, Steven. Well, before we get you out of here, we do end the show the same way every time. So Pat's got one last question for you.
Play a little game. Call it the Tombstone Game.
Oh.
Here lies Steven. What's it say on your tombstone?
Whew. He was a slow learner, but he figured it out.
Hey,
that's perfect.
Beautiful.
Yep.
I love it. Well, thanks again. And thanks to everybody at home that watched or listened to this episode. Please click that subscribe button for us. That would help us out a ton. Our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube before the end of 2026. So help us hit that goal. Click that subscribe button. Share this episode with a friend. And we will see you next time.